This morning, the committee will examine a recent decision by the Copyright Royalty Board that will increase the fees that Internet radio broadcasters pay to play music. In advance of these new fees taking effect on July 15th, it is important to consider the challenge of providing fair compensation for artists and record labels while maintaining a business-friendly environment for webcasters. In May of this year, the Copyright Royalty Board set new rates at which commercial and non-commercial webcasters will compensate copyright owners. The CRB also established an annual minimum fee that these entities must pay for each channel provided by the service. In response to the CRB decision, Internet radio providers have raised concerns about whether the new rates and minimum fees will put small Internet radio broadcasters out of business. Artists and record companies, however, have praised the CRB decision as one that fairly compensates them for their music. This has prompted an important debate about copyright royalties that will continue beyond July 15th, when these new rates go into effect. As a result, today's hearings will review the impact of this ruling on small Internet radio broadcasters, independent artists, and record labels. At the heart of the copyright royalties issue, it is the fact that the Internet is changing the way consumers access and enjoy music. Music used to be distributed primarily via records, tapes, CDs, and traditional AM/FM radio. Now, an increasing amount of music is now distributed via audio files, network downloads, ringtone, satellite radio, HD radio, and Internet radio. Data from 2006 confirms that a market shift is occurring in the music industry. Sales of CDs continued to fall last year, while subscriptions to digital music services, digital downloads of songs, albums, and ringtones all increased. At the same time, the number of subscribers to satellite radio and the number of people listening to Internet radio has risen dramatically. Through Internet radio broadcasters of all sizes offer webcast, many of the leading providers are small companies employing fewer than 50 employees. Given the consolidation of media ownership that we have seen in recent years, the growing popularity of a broad array of small and independent webcasters is a promising sign. Listeners want greater choice with respect to music content, and Internet radio services of all sizes are providing just that. As popular as these services are today, new technologies are expected to make them even more popular in the future. When universal broadband access is realized, consumers will be able to access an even wider variety of entertainment than they are today. In order for this future to become a reality, there must be a business environment that allows new technologies to prosper and grow, while preserving incentives for artistic creativity. It is through this balance that we will best be able to promote innovation and ensure that America remains a leader in these emerging high-technology sectors. The hearing today continues the committee's active role in addressing small business-related technology issues. These issues are indicative of the crucial and critical role that technology plays in the economy and in advancing U.S. competitiveness. I look forward to the testimony today, and I want to thank all the witnesses for traveling to Washington, D.C. today. And I also want to thank Ranking Member Mr. Chabot for suggesting this hearing, and I am happy to have been accommodating this request. And now I recognize Mr. Chabot for his opening statement.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairwoman, and thank you very much for holding this hearing. As you know, time is of the essence for all the parties involved in this discussion, and I appreciate your willingness to consider this issue before July 15th, which of course is a deadline. Let me also thank our witnesses, as you did, for being here today. I want to particularly thank a couple that are from my area. Mr. Brian Miller, who's the general manager of WOXY.com in Cincinnati, and Mr. Richard Eisworth, President and General Manager and CEO of Cincinnati Public Radio, located also in the Cincinnati area, for making this trip. I appreciate, and I know we both do, all the witnesses' willingness to appear here today on such short notice to share with us your experiences. The issue, and the Chairwoman, I have to say, has set it out very, very well here this morning in her statement. The issue before us today implicates some of our nation's most important rights and protections. As I indicated in my opening statement during this committee's examination of patent reform a few months back, we don't have to look any further than the Constitution to understand the importance of innovation and creativity to our nation's economic development. In particular, the question we are struggling with today is how do we best protect and encourage creativity while at the same time adequately promote and protect the use of the most advanced technology and innovations, particularly as it benefits consumers. For the music industry, artists and consumers of music, the Internet has been, for the most part, an asset. With its more than 1.3 billion users, the Internet has fostered and nurtured the visibility of artists as well as enabled a new type of small business to take hold, the small webcaster. Indeed, over the last 5 years, the number of Internet radio listeners has increased from 20 million to 29 million, with audience levels expected to double by 2010. By 2020, industry experts predict that more than 200 million people will listen to Internet radio. Similarly, the growth of Internet radio continues to benefit songwriters and recording artists. The exposure and audience reach that artists have experienced because of the Internet is beyond compare, providing opportunities for a diverse range of artists and labels who never thought it possible. Royalty fees have played a significant role in this growth on both ends, contributing to the increased number of diverse recording artists as well as the increased number of specialized webcasters. However, the recent decision by the Copyright Royalty Board to increase royalty fees may jeopardize the mutually beneficial relationship. The decision and the outcry that has resulted on both sides raises questions and concerns about what is needed to fairly and adequately compensate recording artists and labels, many of which are small businesses, yet ensure that webcasters, particularly small ones, can absorb these increased costs in order to remain viable. Ironically, this dilemma is not new. Indeed, in 2002, the same parties were here in Congress raising similar concerns. Fortunately, the dispute resulted in the Small Webcaster Settlement Act, which codified the voluntary agreement reached by the parties. As with any private dispute, I believe the parties to the conflict are best suited to devise a remedy that is workable and equitable for all involved. However, I must admit that I find it somewhat troubling that we are here revisiting these issues yet again just 5 years later. This lends me to question the effectiveness and flexibility of Section 112 and 114 of the Copyright Act, and the ability of these provisions to promote and encourage creativity, encourage the use of the most advanced delivery mechanisms to benefit consumers and copyright holders, and ensure fair compensation for those who have created works protected by the Copyright Act. I look forward to hearing from all of our witnesses here this morning, and it's my hope that this hearing serves the purpose for which it was intended. That intent is to get those who are parties to this conflict to take a step back and look for common ground so that July 15th is just another day that listeners of Internet radio can hear their favorite artists.